Hello, I'm Dane Fletcher, Youth Ministries Director of the Jamaica Union Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, and I'm here having a link up with some of our conference youth ministries directors as we speak about youth engagement and retention. First up, we have Joey. Joey, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
About myself? Well, I guess I can tell you that I'm youth director for East Jamaica. I love God, I love young people, and I'm just excited to be here because every time we come together, we always have some very interesting conversations. so I'm excited just to be here and also to talk about youth ministry here in Jamaica Union.
Wonderful, Joy. And Scotty?
It's a privilege to be here as well. I have the wonderful opportunity to serve the youth of Central Jamaica Conference. Central is essential, and we're happy to be able to come again as well to have our conversation about youth retention. So it's a joy to be here.
Yes, Summer.
It's always a pleasure to talk about the work, youth ministries, of course, and I serve the North Jamaica Conference of young people. We call them the Youth of Worth, and we praise God for their ministry back home. And we ask that you continue praying for us in this regard. But it's always a pleasure to be among the brothers and with the brothers as we connect and have this kind of discussion.
Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. So as we talk about youth engagement...
Pastor, you know that the Central is only essential because there is one East and that's where everything started. So as a daughter, we're good to see you, my dear. So,
it's good
as
to
a
be here,
parent.
and this is how we have some friendly rivalry, but it's all with good spirits as we collaborate across the Jamaica Union Conference. We seek to learn one from the others, from the other. So we want to learn from your best practices as to how you engage and retain our young people. So tell us how you have been doing along the path of youth engagement and retention.
All right. Well, so you want me to go first?
That's fine.
All right. Because him look at me, so I wonder if it is that is me more say something like that. But well, I just say, youth engagement is very important, even as you think about the transformation of the church and also the retention of our young people. You remember when you were a child, right? You didn't want to always sit in church every single day and look at the platform. You wanted to be a part of it. Like for myself, I know that one of the things that kept me in the church was that I was involved as it relates to being an usher. Yes, I was an usher in church, right? I used to be in the sound room and all of these different stuff. So one of the things that we do is that we try to encourage the churches to put the young people in departments that will get them active, get them moving for Christ, and especially in communication, in the youth ministries department, and also in community services, we find our young people working for Christ. Not just at Global Youth Day, but we try to have other impact opportunities. Now, one of the major things that we use for youth engagement is the Pathfinder Club. Right, Pathfinder is of paramount importance, and last year we were able to start new clubs, even in schools in East, not in the public schools, but we have done that in our own schools, like Hagley Park Prep. We started a school, a Pathfinder Club there, and at New Hope we started one there also. And shortly we'll be moving over to our school in St. Thomas, which is the Miramar Preparatory School, to start another Pathfinder Club there with the young people. And it has been making a big difference. Over 30 out of them, and that is more than half of the school that still, became Pathfinders at New Hope, and we're praising God for them and their work. And that even across the Inter-American Division, that's one of our primary retention tools for ministry here in Jamaica and also across the world. But beyond that though, we engage our young people in praying for each other because it's not enough for them to be going out and doing stuff. We want them to know that prayer works. So on the first Friday night, last year, for the last quarter, for the first Friday night of each month, we had special prayer sessions with them, and the young people came and even spoke about LGBT challenges. Like there was a young man who was struggling with that, and he actually gave his testimony. He was a brave young man still because he went down into the details and explained it, what happened to him, and then we were able to reason with him, to pray for him. And then before that, we had other rap sessions with them on a Friday night that was done by the ASI missionaries, right? As they were talking about, their challenges and so forth. Now, sports evangelism is very important because you don't just want to praise, but you want to play, right? So sports evangelism, very critical. So we're going to start off our sports evangelism this year in April. when I'm hoping that at the end we'll be able to do what we always say we want to do, which is to have the clash between Central and East. But we're just allowing you, because you know that East going to win anyway. So we just want to make you say, boy, you have your winners and things. But yeah, so that is one. But there are other things that we continue to do even for our summer camp. Last year we had Heart came in and helped to do some capacity building for our young people. And apart from the Heart experience, we also had fun days and other activities with our young people to let them know that, you know what, you are valued. We care about you. We want to hear your heart. And also our Love in the Streets initiative, where they go out into the communities on the final Sabbath of each month, right? Because, as I said, it makes a big difference when they can see that I am doing something for a soul. I'm not just spectating. We don't like to spectate. We like to be active. So therefore, I would say, don't spectate, activate.
Thank you very much, Joy. I'm coming to you, Scotty, in the summer, but while we get to that point, what I heard from you, Joy, is that we need to be intentional from the local church level. It's not just about planning activities at the conference level or at the union level, but that from the local church level, we should be intentional about engaging our young people, right? And it calls for the support of pastors and elders
everybody
and other members of the church.
Yes, and even I think about it now for Youth Month, mercy. Youth Month is, is a staple, but what we do is that we ask them to come to the conference office, and we have that thing that we call leadership, right? Where they can lead the conference for a day, but this year we're going to enhance it more than just a day so that they can actually identify with the leaders, because sometimes people look at the union and look at the conferences and say, boy, not going up there. So them drive past and say, no, man, they just go sit down and, but when they come.
And they actually see what is happening.
Yeah, I know you have it in your conference too. So when we look at it, it's like they're saying, Pastor, I never understood that this was a work that they have to do. And then,
what is going
and then when some directors who have like 3 departments, and then a young person come and say, no, something is wrong. Like they literally did that last year. And I was like, that's cool.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Like, how is this? They were talking to us in the caucus. They were like, no, you need to make him one department. It's stressing them out.
That's all right.
And have a church.
And right now, Joy, we don't want to stress you.
No, man, good man. Go on. It's all right. Go on, Scotty.
So, Scotty, you can share.
It's all right. My name jumps. I mean, jump in if anything happens.
What has been happening in Central Jamaica?
I'm really happy for the collaboration that we have as youth directors, where we kind of share ideas and recommendations and what we think can work in our various areas. And I'm so happy to hear Pastor John talk about some of the initiatives, similar things that we have in Central. But I want to start this way. As I think about youth ministry and the challenges that we've had in engagement, I compare it to the best sport in the world, which is cricket. And West End, a little bit more. Yes, cricket.
Talk about cricket, the gentleman's sport.
The gentleman's sport. And more specifically, West Indies cricket. And here's what I found. Similar to West Indies cricket, youth ministry back in the day is not youth ministry now. West Indies cricket back in the day is not West Indies cricket now. The West Indies cricket of the 70s and the 80s and the 90s
will not come back.
It's struggling to come back. There was a time that the stands used to be filled. There's a time when you talk about rally around West Indies and you talk about iconic players and how they did world champions. It was unthinkable for persons to beat West Indies. But now we live in a day and age where
it's like Manchester United.
like some other teams.
My side.
West Indies seem to be like the beating stick of everybody.
Yep.
The beating stick of everybody, and you see the rally coming out.
So I don't believe you're saying that Central Jamaica Conference
is the
beating stick of everybody. So tell us how it is that you're preventing Central from being the beating stick.
Beautiful.
So hurting up us.
We've seen the decline over the years, not only in Central, but right across youth ministries. We've seen less persons over the years attending AY, being engaged. And that is for that reason why we see the importance of being intentional to engage our young people, to retain them. Why? Because just like West Indies cricket, people still watch it because they see the potential of the team and how the team can do well. And we see the potential of our young people right across the union, right in Central, the potential to continue to do well, to grow and to be the best. And so we still believe that they can continue
Use a
to do
different
that.
sport, man.
Even though he has a little
No,
challenge
it's a
with
different
cricket.
sport.
So with that now, there are some things that we do to try to engage our young people
Yeah.
so that they can rise up and be agents of change, right? And even go far beyond what has happened in the past. For example, we have our talk back session, our talk out youth session. It's something that we have monthly. And I want to start that way because a lot of our ideas come from that. When the young people will come online and they talk about all the issues that they're having, all the suggestions, and man, they don't play to give suggestions and recommendation how to grow youth ministry. And through that program, we've seen some excellent suggestions, and that is for that reason why we start the year with prayer. We bring them together, we pray, and we've seen an intentional approach in separating our investiture services for senior youth leaders, master guys, different from Pathfinders, and we've seen more persons be a part. So much so for last year, we invested for the first time in a long time, almost 1,000 persons.
Yeah, that was
Amen.
cool.
1,000. And we saw when we focus more on training the trainers, training the master guys, training the senior youth leaders, we see when they feel appreciated and that, okay, we're taking them away from the group,
The big thing.
the group thing, and focus on them. Similar to our, SYL Congress, we see now.
Which came from which conference?
Which the idea came from East,
The
from
mother
convention.
conference. All right.
And when we did that now, we saw clubs, we had 8 revived/new clubs coming up. We had almost 1,000 persons being invested. And of course, we have the Suluhu Pathfinder Club at the Willardine Group of Schools.
What they call it, what?
Suluhu Pathfinder Club at Willardine Group of Schools, where, of course, we have the Pathfinder Ministry.
Okay.
as
Yeah,
well.
just before I allow you, Scotty, to talk about recreational football league,
Yes.
I must emphasize that it is something excellent for us to be intentional about implementing Pathfinder clubs in our Adventist schools. That's a wonderful thing, and I hope that we will have active and vibrant Pathfinder clubs in all of our Adventist schools.
Yes.
I don't know
And
if
then
someone
branch
wants
out to
chime
others
in
as well.
before you talk about recreational football
Yes,
league.
of course.
Hold on, when you talk about the Pathfinder thing, you know, there was somebody from a different denomination who actually called me in East and asked about starting a Pathfinder club. And I said, where are you located? And when she told me, come St. John. Yeah. And I said, no man, call Pastor Scott. There are people out there who are seeing the value.
See what we do.
That's the
and-
point.
And want to implement
And
it.
on that note, we
Yeah.
really are re-engaging the Ministry of Education
Yes.
with regards to the implementation of Pathfinder clubs in public
public
schools, because there has been a snag, because there are different interest groups who are really fighting against it. But
As long as it's not like how they fight against spice.
we
We
will
can start it in our
implement.
schools,
Yeah.
and you'll have that template that others can implement. As
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
So, Summer, you can chime in and we'll come back to the RFL.
Yes.
And I'll just say, I'll add that when you say in our schools, you have the ones that are, owned and operated by the organization. But there are also others where there are Seventh-day Adventist members
Who
who
have
have
schools.
their
Own schools,
schools.
right.
So
That's
they
cool.
can also, capitalize
Can
on
start
that.
a school, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I would
start.
say this, Pastor, that if you engage them right, then your retention is made far easier. The idea of the ministry that we have is to minister to and to save our young people. And so it's good to plan socials, it's good to plan this and plan that. But it's all in a bid to ensure that we save the people to whom we should be ministering to. So that's what makes ministry on a whole so, captivating. But at the same time, in our context, youth ministry.
Yeah.
Now, the people that we have a different language. They have a different dress
way.
code, they have a different way of thinking, a different way of approaching the world, which means that, we have to ensure that we package the engagement properly. Because you can try to engage, but if you do not package the engagement right, then it may not be seen as proper engagement for the group to which you're trying to minister.
And it's for that reason they have to be the ones to share with you what are the needs that they're having, what are the challenges that they're having.
Thank you.
And when they share with you, you're able to now make decisions and plan programs from an informed standpoint, because it makes no sense you're planning a program for a group that have zero interest in the program. As well.
The funny part is this, Pastor. When I was just asked to serve as youth director, I went to both the federation camps and had them give me feedback in terms of what do you want to see.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the lively discussion. We will take a break and we will return. We will learn what has been happening in Central Jamaica Conference with the Recreational Football League. We will learn from Pastor Somerville about how he intentionally helps young people in North Jamaica Conference to know that they are youth of worth. And we will hear also from Pastor Joel.
Creativity has a mission. Vision has a purpose. Creative Disciples, are you ready to bring yours to life? The Jamaica Union Conference, in collaboration with Hope Channel Inter-America, invites you to a film festival like no other. Saturday, May 10, West Jamaica Conference, 3 p.m. Step into the spotlight and showcase your talent in music and animation, short film and mobile films, public service announcements and commercials. The time is running out. The application deadline is March 15, 2025. This is a movement, recapturing the spirit of the mission. Who will emerge the winner? Your story begins now.
Welcome back, friends. I'm Dane Fletcher, Youth Ministries Director of the Jamaica Union Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, and I'm having a link up with some of our conference youth ministries directors, Pastor Joel Drum from East Jamaica Conference, Pastor Dwayne Scott from Central Jamaica Conference, and Pastor Amil Somerville from North Jamaica Conference. Just before we took the break, Pastor Somerville was on the floor. He's going to tell us about how he has been intentional with his team in engaging the youth of worth of the North Jamaica Conference.
Thank you, Pastor. So engaging our young people, it's crucial that you understand you have to scratch where it itches. Listening to them and understanding what they want. As I was sharing with you earlier, that when I was asked to serve, one of the first things I did was have a kind of a stakeholders forum, specifically with our young people, and have them tell me what they would want to see happening in the youth ministries department. Interestingly, at one point, the young people said, Pastor, we want to know our Bibles more, you know. And along that line, we came to a place where we said we would expand the Bible connections and have a more team-based approach. So we have more young people participating, and at the same time, they have a good enough incentive participating for. But as I've said, meeting the needs, scratching where it itches, and that lent itself to great success. And more now our young people are very excited about NJC Bible Championship each year. The Save Bible Foundation is another initiative that exists in the North Jamaica Conference to help young persons with health and education needs, specifically those two. And again, we find that a lot of young people are at high risk of leaving the church between the ages of 16 and 21. And part of that is because of needs.
Ambassador age group.
The ambassador age group, yes. Yeah, and I love the ambassador program because of its intentionality in preserving the integrity as well as the discipleship, if you want to say, of this group of young persons. And so the Save It Foundation seeks to address some kind of need in helping some of our young people who want to pursue studies or may have health challenges that they don't necessarily look the wrong way for assistance, but they can still find some kind of refuge in the church. But as I would have noted, that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is not short or lacking in resources and tools that we need to empower our young people to engage them. All we need to do is to access them, and they're accessible, ranging from the writings of Ellen White to the Bible to the structures that the church may have in place, and a lot of the initiatives that the church has in place. We can utilize these for the benefit of our young people, to engage them, of course, and to also empower them to continue in service, thus increasing the chances of retention. And notice I keep saying increasing the chances of retention, because Judas left, which means
You
so,
can do so
you
much.
can do
but
so much
it's
and
up
no
to the
more.
individual
Yeah,
person.
yeah. One
And
of
the
the
Bible
things
said Paul was all things to all men so that he could win some.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things that is essential to emphasize from what you have said, Emil, is that you didn't just plan for the young people, but that you spend some time to listen to them in order to plan with them. It is better for them and for the church when young people are engaged in the process of planning, so that we will not just give them what we think that they need, but that we will also give them something that they themselves desire.
And to add to that, Pastor, there was an article that reached out to me, was shared with me last week by one of our youth leaders. But when I read the article, I recognized that the person speaking about soft skills emphasized to some degree what she would have learned as a pathfinder growing up.
And that was a news article like in the newspaper.
Yes, it was in, I think, maybe the Observer. Yeah, and she clearly spoke to the fact that, she benefited from the soft skills, and, because of where she works, she would see the value of having the soft skills because she works with the Heart NSTA. So, yes, the Pathfinder, when I look at the Pathfinder program, and when I was exposed to the honors book, I realized that there are so many honors that can be done. And so, can you imagine, it used to annoy me when I go places and I see the Pathfinders about this big sasha,
and you know about much.
And you
Say that what I wear it. It just wear the green suit alone.
So in essence, the developmental program for the Pathfinder Club is to really prepare us to be better citizens who are more prepared to deal with the challenges of life.
For the higher joy of wider service in
this
life
and while we look forward to the world to come, we need to hear from Scotty as to what has been happening
from please
about the recreational football league.
Apart from cricket, the recreational football league, Central Jamaica Conference is just privileged to have a lot of young people who want to be engaged in various ways, and so the idea of the Central Jamaica Conference Recreational Football and Netball League was birthed, where we see young people engaging in football, engaging in netball as well, to fellowship with their community. So this last year we had over 20 teams participating in the recreational league, and no team could enter the league without having a combination of members and non-members, because it's an evangelism program. It's youth in evangelism, and we saw 20 districts coming together, and it was so beautiful to see pastors engaging in football with members of the church, members of the community. And our launch, we saw hundreds of young men and young women who are not members of the church who were coming to a program that we had just because we were targeting their level of interest. And to God be the glory, we saw persons being baptized in their jerseys.
You're sure the church would allow that?
No, no problem. The pastor said that. But having persons being baptized, showing that yes, through social engagement, persons from our communities can be reached. And it was also good to go into the various communities where the games were being kept, and seeing people from the community come in and saying, man, this is something that the church is having, and we're so happy to be a part of it. And so that's one of the things that we did for youth in evangelism.
And even when you talk about that, it's like I believe that when the people who are not a part of the church see how we play football, it's not just football.
No.
It's not just a talent, but they're looking at the fact that you're running on the field.
Yes.
You're not a person about it.
Right.
You're not, and even though we might be upset, about something, but the way you relate, and then the worship.
Yeah, the worship
experience. It makes a big difference, because what a similar thing in East, but we did volleyball. Along with the football, we did volleyball.
Take time to because
also.
We did volleyball. One of the essentials that we should observe is that people are engaged in different ways.
Right.
Yeah,
some are engaged for the recreational football league by being players on the field, And I know that you have a whole lot more engaged by being spectators.
Support.
So there are different ways to engage. Some persons play supportive roles during engagement. As we get ready to the final part of this discussion, I just want you to give a summative point as to what really we can do in the local church to engage more of our young people.
Yeah, I've always been passionate about the same essence, or the essence of what you shared a while ago. Much of what is planned at any level of the church is for the local church.
Yeah.
And so majority of what we put together, and I tell my youth leaders the same thing, many of the things that we put in place, it's for the benefit of our young people at the local level.
Correct.
But my correspondent and my counterpart at that level is my youth leader.
That's it.
And so you must be keen on what we're doing so you can share it with them, adapt it to your setting, and make it relevant so that your young people can benefit. And it doesn't matter if it's 15 or 20 or just 2. Utilize what you have for their benefit. By God's grace, of course, they'll be engaged and they'll be retained.
So pay attention to the big picture.
Yes.
And see how it becomes relevant in your local
setting.
context.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that Pastor Somerville says that, and I would also add to that. You might see some things happening at your conference level. You can look, as Pastor Somerville said, localize it. So essentially, we have Operation Safer Youth, where we have quite a number of activities happening on one day where all the youths gather. That is fine that we have that at the conference level, but you can have your little mini OSA in your church, where
in your community,
where you can go out on a quarterly basis, a weekly basis, and do these similar initiatives. Going out, interacting with persons from the community, giving out tracts, giving out food. That is quite okay. That you take the ideas. Yes, we'll have something massive, but you can localize it. And what I will also add, as it relates to my essential point, is go out. Go out. Whether it is you're going to have AY in the gardens like some churches, you're going to interact with people. You can go to an infirmary. You can go to a hospital. You can take Jesus to the streets, as Jay and the team do. Go out and do
Love in the streets.
And love in the streets. Yes. Go out and do something. Because when you do that, you are, of course, the hands and the feet of Jesus.
Yeah, thank you very much, Scotty. And Joey, your final word?
All right, so even as we're talking about the practical side of the gospel, right? Being pragmatists, being young people, looking into the future, how can we get involved? Now, talking about love in the streets, it's not just from the conference perspective. We encourage the churches to go out, as he would have said. So North Street went out a few weeks ago, down in Southside. I've never been there before, but it was a great opportunity for even all the ministries to come together. So one of the things I want young people to understand is that you're a part of this church. Do not just think of it as, I am a young person, therefore I must stay by myself. Look at the older persons, quote unquote, in the church. See the value in them, because you are going to be where they are now one day. So therefore, show love towards them. Now, for the older individuals, remember that you made mistakes. So when you're relating to them, there are some churches where you find some AY leaders that are in their 50s, 40s, and it's not just because, the church doesn't have anybody, but those people actually care for the young people. And so you see yourself in them, look at them, care for them, talk to them, connect with them, and pass on the legacy by God's grace. Now, on the matter of listening to young people, right? I remember a young person from, I think it was the Jamaica University, who came to me and said, Pastor, many of my friends, they're not really going to church on a Sabbath. I want to do something for them. So we had what we called Jesus in the Garden. So when you say garden, so I just remember Jesus in the Garden earlier on this year, where the PCM students came out and they were at the Chinese gardens there in Hope Gardens, and we spent the day praying together, talking together, and reflecting on the goodness of God. And for those who have business mind, we say to them, all right, then we have a youth business boutique where we can teach them about, methods of of starting a business and also being creative as we move forward. It's not enough to just tell them that you must return your tithe, right? We want to show them where they find the money. And I think we need to promote a place where our young people are not just looking for a job, but they become employers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
So those are some of the things
Thank you.
that we're doing.
Thank you very much for those points. And as we look forward to the rest of this month, March,
The sweetest part of the month. Yes.
we're joining.
Yes.
We're
Right here.
joining.
Yes.
We're joining the youth across the
Hold
world
on.
on the 15th of March for
Yes.
Global Youth
Yes.
Day, as we focus on the theme, a community
Transformed.
transformed.
That's
So
it.
yes, we are connecting with young people around the world. It's also the beginning of Youth Week of Prayer. Youth Week of Prayer will culminate on the 22nd of March, and we encourage you to have grand homecoming for youth in your local congregations, where you encourage your youth to come as they are. Don't judge them, just welcome and receive them, even as you help them to experience the love of God afresh. It has been my pleasure to have this amazing link up with Pastor Joel Jump, our Youth Ministries Director of the East Jamaica Conference, Pastor Dwayne Scott, our Youth Ministries Director of the Central Jamaica Conference, and Pastor Amiel Somerville, our Youth Ministries Director of the North Jamaica Conference. God loves you, and so do we. Have yourselves a wonderful day.